towards diagnosing the things like we're going to talk about in the show later, why Black people are dying at disproportionate rates, making sure that Black people are not left out of the response.
Warren did.
So that's
actually,
in terms.
Actually, Warren has been involved in that. She's been doing it with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, and even we talked about it yesterday when she criticized the Trump administration's putrid report specifically dealing with the racial data affecting coronavirus. So she has been speaking on that particular issue.
Speaking on it, yes. Signing on to a letter, yes. Pushing legislation, no. Really championing it, no. Yes, she does check the box. I will give Elizabeth Warren credit for checking the box. She has her bullet points and she has her PDFs. But in terms of actually championing issues, that's not what she does. During the campaign, she was all about Black maternal mortality. But when it came to the Black Momnibus bill, you didn't see her on that stage with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley or with Senator Kamala Harris. Senator Kamala Harris was the only senator who represented in that type of task force. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's not a matter of just simply checking the box and sending out a tweet or signing on to a letter. It's about who's truly championing these issues and going into spaces and talking about this competently over and over and over again. And Senator Warren does not meet that level that Senator Kamala Harris does.
So the only thing, again, the pushback here, and this is actually a transcript right here. Warren remarks on press call about her bill to require release of COVID demographic data, including race and ethnicity. That's dated April 17th. So what bill are you talking about? She has a bill that specifically does that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about there is a racial and ethnic disparities task force bill that Senator Kamala Harris has put out, which does far more than just release demographic data. Like I said, I'm not saying that Elizabeth Warren doesn't do anything. What I'm saying is that she is not championing this to the same degree and to the same zeal that we see that Senator Kamala Harris is. Yes, does she sign on to things? Yes, does she put out things? Yes, she does, but it's not anywhere near to the degree of what Senator Kamala Harris does. When they talked about Vice President Joe Biden had a town hall on the racial disparities, on the way that COVID impacts Black people, it was not Senator Warren that he called up. It was Senator Kamala Harris that he called up. And she conducted Joe Biden's town hall. And she's been talking about these issues for months on multiple areas, whether it's on MSNBC or whether it's directly to Black people. And that's what I'm saying. It's not just a matter of putting out a letter or signing on to something. It's a matter of who can truly champion these issues.
Erica, final comment.
And just wanted to add that when we think about the firing of this latest Inspector General, Steve Lennick, who served as the Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Inspector General of the State Department, Senator Kamala Harris fired off a letter in August of 2019 saying that the same person that's leading the State Department, Mike Pompeo, that he be held into account, him and other officials. So when you think about those things that maybe aren't necessarily sexy, but understanding how these important positions are necessary within our democracy, you see Black women. And so, again, a Biden campaign was revived by Black women. A Black woman, not a woman of color, needs to be his vice president.
All right, folks. Health specialists and science experts state that there are layers of previous health conditions like hypertension and heart and respiratory illnesses that have often been welcomed by negative environmental factors like pollution in the air, which have made Black people more susceptible to catching coronavirus and dying. Black communities across the country are environmentally compromised. Environmental racism combined with COVID-19 is serving as a double whammy in Black America. Joining us right now is Michelle Mapson, Senior Staff Scientist for the Earth Justice Chief Advocacy Officer for Black Millennials for Flint. As you look at this, Michelle, in terms of this environmental justice, how then do you get organizations and policymakers to understand how the two are joined together to result in this double whammy?
That's a great question, and thank you so much for having me. I think the first thing we need to understand is that these issues are pervasive in communities of color, in low-income communities, but especially in Black communities. So it should not surprise us that we're actually seeing the disproportionate impacts being felt by COVID-19 on Black communities. And there's already research that shows that the types of air pollution that especially Black communities are exposed to at higher rates are actually what are contributing to higher mortality rates for COVID-19. And that part of that is because of the comorbidities of diseases like lung disease, heart disease, asthma, and other high rates of diseases, and basically being immunocompromised by being exposed to this pollution for a long time. So I think for policymakers, it's time to look at where are those places that we see that high pollution and that overburdening in communities, and provide relief, because communities have been asking for this type of relief for decades.
So when you say relief, what does that relief look like? What does the relief look like?
Relief for let's start with this administration and what it's currently trying to do, which is to relax enforcement of air pollution laws for facilities that are trying to essentially continue to pollute during this crisis. So number one would be to not allow that to happen, whether you're at the state level or lobbying at the federal level. The Environmental Protection Agency should not be relaxing compliance and enforcement at these type of facilities that are directly contributing to the type of pollution that can contribute to COVID deaths. And then beyond that, I think there's also needing to be a push for embracing science that helps us understand and better understand what is happening in communities on the ground.
Who do you think really has been the biggest champion on these issues for Black folks in Congress?
In Congress, I think we've seen a number of folks. I think Senator Duckworth up in Illinois has been instrumental. We have seen Senator Carper as well speak out on these issues. We've also seen Representative Ayanna Pressley also speak out, especially when we understood that there were disproportionate impacts to the Black community. And so when we're trying to peel back those layers and understand why is that the case, environmental racism and environmental injustice is a part of the problem.
And so moving forward, do you believe that in the midst of this, I mean, look, what coronavirus has shown is so many inequities left and right, that policymakers would actually take this seriously and do something about it?
I think that is happening. I think at least in some states, we're also seeing regulators saying we're not going to comply with EPA's policy on relaxing air pollution regulations for facilities. Out in California, we also see that there's studies that are trying to understand that impact of air pollution on health and related to the COVID crisis. And then we also have a big amount of academic research coming out that's showing that same correlation, whether we look at Harvard or Tulane University in Louisiana, where actually the highest per capita COVID-related deaths are in a small parish in Louisiana. So when we're thinking about New York and Detroit and other parts of the country, let's not forget about the rural areas that are also being ravaged by COVID as well. And a lot of that is linked to air pollution.
All right, then. Well, look, we surely appreciate it. Keep up the good work in this particular area. Michelle Mapson, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk about what Haitian activists are doing when it comes to ensuring that Black folks are not being sent out of this country. Could coronavirus be spread in Haiti because of the Trump's actions? Also, Trump had a meeting with some Black people in Detroit today. Woo, quite interesting. We'll break it down next on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland. Flights this week alone, according to data collected by Jake Johnston at the Center for Economic and Policy Research. And a total of 98 flights since March 15th. Destinations to Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Brazil, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Colombia, and Jamaica. Recent reports have also claimed that some 130 migrants from India will soon be deported to New Delhi. This is crazy. I want to go to my panel here. Is that, okay, if you're trying to sit here and prevent coronavirus from becoming an international pandemic like it is, Erica, you don't send people to places that aren't adequately prepared to deal with this.
But if you're the son of a Klansman and your senior advisor was mentored by one Jeff Sessions, you continue to push your racist policy, especially in a time of a pandemic. You know, when you look at the proclamation that he made on April 22nd about suspending folks from being able to come into the country, looking at the different countries where it's